everybody, welcome back to Tween Tuesday. Last week we had a woven bookmark craft. If you didn't get a chance to look at it, check back on our earlier Tween Tuesday videos on this YouTube channel. This week we're going to be using shaving cream to make watercolor art, so let's get right down to it. Okay, let's get started. The very first thing we're going to do is get our materials ready. I'm starting off with a piece of cardstock here that I cut into two pieces. You can leave it whole depending on what you want to use it for. I decided to cut mine in half. Shaving cream. It doesn't matter what kind. This kind is the sensitive kind, but as long as it's not a gel, you're good to go. You need it to be foamy right from the start. Food coloring. I'm using the regular liquid kind that you can get at most supermarkets. If you've seen my Cooking with Miss Cindy videos, you'll know that I usually use the gel kind of food coloring, but for this I really need it to be liquidy because I need the drops to be able to come out really evenly when I drop it over my shaving cream. A baking pan. I'm just using my regular baking pan that I, bake on, but you can use anything as long as it's kind of big enough for your paper, and flat. You need it to be flat and shallow. So even a plate would probably work out fine for this as long as it was big enough. And last thing is I just have a little bit wooden skewer. You can use a popsicle stick or even like a plastic butter knife as long as you went softly with it. This is just going to be used to swirl and then to push my shaving cream off the paper. Now, I mentioned before that the paper that I'm using is a piece of cardstock. The reason that I'm using cardstock is because it's a little bit thicker. You'll see you can hear it too. It's a little bit thicker, and that means it won't absorb the moisture as much as regular paper would, but that's all right. You use whatever you've got and give it a shot. Try it with printer paper. It might just take a little longer to dry, but if you're delicate with it, you should be good. So to start, we're going to take our shaving cream and pop it open and do a kind of controlled spritz into the baking pan. You'll see it expand, so don't go nuts on it to start with, and just make sure that it's about the size of your paper. See, it's just about the size. You don't need to do too much to it. It'll expand on its own. And then we're going to take whatever color of food coloring you might like. I'm going to be using this little pink. Just do random dots here and there. Don't forget, you can always add more if you want to do that. So just start slow and add more as you see fit. I'm going to do this green. That'll be nice. And maybe this light blue would be cute. You can see it already starting to spread. And that's alright because that's not where it's going to stay. Okay. Now you're going to take your popsicle stick or your butter knife or whatever you're going to do. And don't go in too deep. Just kind of start swirling the top around. You don't want the colors to mix too much because you're going to get like a weird brown in that case, but you do want kind of color swirls. If you push too hard, like if you're all the way at the bottom, you're going to end up with kind of weird coloring. So you want to go lightly, you want to go with like a light, gentle touch. You want to be able to tell what colors they are still, roughly. And if you are at a spot that you think needs more color, you can go ahead and add more food coloring to that spot. That's fine. But that's why we start lightly, so you can always add. It's a lot harder to subtract if you mess it up or it gets muddled. So let's say that this is kind of what I want it to look like. So I'm just going to push off the excess here. We're going to take our paper. I'm going to use the smaller paper because I'm going to be making a card with it. You're going to take it and place it, and then gently, very gently, push it. It's okay if it gets on the other side. You'll be able to wipe it off later. Now you don't want it to stay on too long because you don't want it to get very wet. Oh, there's that paper towel that I got. But you do want the color to transfer over. So I'm just going to give it a push. I'd say maybe count to 10 or 15. 10-15 seconds is probably good enough. If you're using printer paper, be aware that it is going to absorb way, way faster than if you're using a cardstock. So just keep that in mind. You'll be able to see right through the printer paper quickly enough, and make sure to be very, very gentle with it. Alright, so I'd say that was probably enough time. I'm going to lift it, and I'm going to move this to the side so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm doing this on a plastic cover that I've got. Usually I would be doing this outside, but it's all rainy out, so I'm not going to do it outside today. If you want to do it outside, that's probably your best bet. So you're going to take it, and you're going to use your popsicle stick or your butter knife. And you're going to use that to scrape away the excess. I'm going to just shake it off here, clean it off with my paper towel, move over to the other side. Shake and scrape. Clean it off again, and scrape. You can always take your paper towel or napkin and just kind of dab it over like this. Don't rub it, just kind of push down to kind of get any excess off. And look at that. It is already all watercolored. I'm going to be using it as a card, so I'm folding it in half right here, so that when my recipient gets it, it'll be really pretty, and then I'll write my note inside. Alright, you want to do one more? We can do that. Let me just move all this out of the way, and we'll pop right over for another one just so that you can see it again in action. Alright, so I got everything cleaned off from my first one. Shaving cream rinses off really easily. You don't even need to rinse it off. You can probably just get it off with a paper towel, but rinsing is going to be a lot faster and less messy. So for the second one, and I'm still using same popsicle stick, same everything as before, I'm just going to pick different colors. So this time I want a little bit more of and I got a little food coloring on me, of course, more of an ocean thing. So let's say blue in all these spots, and then the lighter blue. Because food coloring is very concentrated, they will most likely look like very similar colors until they start spreading. Because it's a very, very concentrated blue. It's only once it starts spreading that you can see the differences. And I'm going to go back with my green, but I want my green to be kind of more bluish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it over where I already did the blue so it starts mixing as soon as I start swirling, and I'm not going to use too much. You can see that I'm already gotten a little bit of food coloring, and actually shaving cream is really good for removing food coloring from your hands, so little pro tip for you. Okay, so same as before, we're going to take our stick and start swirling. It doesn't matter what pattern you want to go in. You can do kind of big long strokes like that, or like I'm doing now, kind of small circles where I'm trying to incorporate everything and make it look kind of wavy, kind of ocean-y. You can make it look more tie-dye by doing kind of long strokes like that, or like what I'm doing, which is the smaller circles. See, it looks a little bit more marine, more nautical. And the blue and the green are mixing in a lot of the spots where I wanted it to mix, which is good because that's exactly what I wanted it to look like. So let's keep swirling. And this time, I don't want too much white showing, so I'm going to try to mix it so that the color goes everywhere. I don't get a lot of bare spots. And honestly, this part is a lot of fun, just the swirling, the mixing, things like that. If you use colors that are within the same sort of color family, like blue and green, they're both kind of cool colors, so they'll actually blend quite nicely. If you do like a pink and a blue and a green like I did with the other one, that's where you don't want them to mix because they'll turn muddy, they'll turn kind of brown, whereas this is just kind of turning into like a bluey green, and you don't see the differentiation of colors as much. You just see kind of like one blue-green color. So I think that that's pretty much set. It looks like a beautiful and delicious cake. Please don't eat it. And we're going to take our paper, same as before, pop it on, push it down. You don't need to get super messy for this. Just make sure that all of the paper is in contact with the shaving cream. And as we did before, I'm going to go ahead and mentally count to about 10 or 15. That's pretty much all you need. The other one came out really, really spectacularly, and we didn't leave it on for very much time. So how about, while I move everything out of the way, we'll let it set. Let's move the food coloring out of here. And same as before, grab our paper towel, which is now covered in food dye. And actually I'm going to move this one out of the way so it doesn't get messed up or any shaving cream on it. Alright, all ready? We're going to pop it off. Same as before, take our stick. And you can even probably use your finger for this, but if you don't want to get too messy, a stick is the way to go. And clean off the shaving cream, turn it, and go over and over. This looks really, really beautiful, you guys. So I'm going to take this, and again, just kind of dab. You don't want to rub. You either want to place it and leave it, or you just want to dab at it a little bit to get any excess shaving cream off. And this one came out pretty much the way that I wanted it to. I wanted it to look mostly blue and green, have no white space in there, or at least have a lot less than the other one did. The other one was a little bit more tie-dye looking. So same thing as we did with the very first one. We're going to take this and I'm going to just fold it in half. Again, I'm using this to make cards, so I always want it to be in half so that this colored bit is the outside of the card. Oh, the inside got a little bit messy too, but that just adds to the charm for me. So you can't feel it right now, but this is still a little bit damp. You always want to make sure and let it dry for at least a couple of hours till it feels totally dry before you use it to write on or to do a collage or something like that. So for comparison, let's just show that one, and I'm going to go ahead and clean this little spot over here versus the first one that we did, which was this one here. Like I said, this one had a lot more white space. You could see the colors a lot better. It's just a different style, just a different technique, but I think they're both beautiful. They all come out really interesting, and everything comes out unique. If I placed a piece of cardstock on what I have left over here, it would still look different than these two. No two are ever going to be alike. Alright, you guys, I don't know about you, but I had a lot of fun. I thought this was really fun, really cool, and I came out with something really unique and interesting. I'm actually also really, really excited to see what you guys come up with. So again, if you make something from either Cooking with Miss Cindy or Tween Tuesday, please email it to me at this address right here. Yeah. And I will post it to either our Instagram, our Facebook, or in the next video that I do. I'm just really, really interested to see what everybody comes up with. And I'm sure you guys are making lots and lots of cool stuff at home. So, until next week, happy crafting, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye!